Hello students, today in part 1 of an introduction to a case study as a qualitative method, we will be discussing about what is a case study, its significance, its characteristics, common methods and different steps for case study analysis. So first, let us focus on what is a case study. A case study is a form of qualitative descriptive research. Now, why it is called a qualitative descriptive research method? Because it emphasizes detailed contextual analysis of a limited number of events or conditions and as well as their relationships. This method is used for studying the individuals, a small group of participants, and sometimes a group as a whole. Because of this, its descriptive nature, it has been used by researchers in different disciplines for many years. Next is, it is an in-depth investigation of a particular situation. Now, why in-depth? Because it is a detailed investigation, detailed study of a single individual, group, or event to explore the causes of underlying principles. So this method narrows down a very broad field of research into one easily researchable topic. Third one is, it is a research strategy and an empirical inquiry that investigates a phenomenon within its real life situation. Now here, empirical inquiry. Why empirical inquiry? Because it is mainly based on empirical findings, empirical experiments, as the researcher actively participates in the field and the study is based on empirical findings. At the same time, it is a descriptive and exploratory analysis of a person, group, or event. Now, next is, a case study is an ideal methodology when a holistic, in-depth investigation is required. Because case studies are analysis of persons, groups, events, then decisions, periods, policies, institutions and many other systems that are studied holistically by different methods. And it is a method of studying social unit. Now, why a social unit? The term social unit has been used because this method is widely used in social sciences, though it has been used by researchers in many disciplines, be it a person, a group of persons, an institution, a community, or a family. So it is an intensive, systematic investigation of a single individual, a group, community, or some other unit in which the researcher examines in depth relating to several variables. Next, we'll move on to the significance of a case study. Now, it is amongst the most flexible of research designs and is particularly useful in researching issues related to sustainability and institutional systems. It can help us generate new ideas, which of course can be tested by different methods. So it is an important method of illustrating and it can help how different aspects of a person's life or a unit are related to each other. Next, it helps in understanding a complex issue or object because it helps in understanding a research, it helps in understanding a study that involves up-close, in-depth and detailed investigation of a subject under study and its related contexts. So this method extends experience and it as well as it adds strength to the existing knowledge through previous research. Now, I've already mentioned that this method is widely used in other disciplines also, but it has a wide applicability in social sciences as a qualitative research method to investigate contemporary real-life situations. Next is case study research can serve a variety of functions. Now here I've mentioned three functions: exploratory, testing hypothesis and theories, and policy analysis. So we'll go one by one. Now exploratory function means it enables researchers to get a feeling for potentially important variables and to describe phenomena in the appropriate contextual setting. Then it helps in testing hypotheses and theories, particularly relating to cause and effect of any phenomena or any process of the study which is being undertaken. And another important function is it helps in policy analysis. Now, case studies are a very important part of the backbone of policy analysis and research. And this method contributes to policy analysis in two ways. First is it provides a tool for fully contextualized problem definition. For example, in dealing with rising crime rates in a given city, that is a target city, meaning the city under study, the case approach allows the researcher to develop a portrait of crime in that city as well as for that city's decision makers. Second is case studies can illuminate policy relevant questions and at the same time can eventually put forward practical advices. Next, we will be dealing with the characteristics of a case study. The first one is particularistic, meaning the number of units to be studied in case study is small. So it focuses on a particular situation, event, program or phenomenon. So it studies a social unit deeply and thoroughly. That is why case studies tend to be selective, focusing on one or two issues that are fundamental to understanding the system being examined. Second is descriptive. Descriptive in a sense that its end product, which means the outcome of the findings, is rich and thick description of the phenomenon being studied. So it is both qualitative and quantitative. So it covers sufficient wide cycle of time and it has continuity in nature. And it is descriptive in a sense that that case studies are multi-perspective analysis. Third characteristic is heuristic, which means the case studied reveals the reader's understanding of the phenomenon under study, and it brings about the discovery of new meanings, the discovery of new theories. So in this way it broadens the reader's experience and knowledge, and as well as it confirms what is already known. Fourth one is it is scientific and reliable. It is a valid method and it is the best method to use for diagnostics because it provides complete information about individual's behavior, then his environment, insight into the nature of the cases of suffering, be it personal, social, emotional or educational abnormalities. Now here, one example can be given. There was a movie named Tare Zameen Par, which focused on a child with a very special problem. It is a beautiful movie which delivers a message that every child is special. So it is an example of studying a problem of a child suffering from one particular disease called dyslexia, and the remedial teachings which have been done by his teacher in an extraordinary way to help the students. There are various methods used in case study research, and we will be dealing with the same in this slide. The first method is participant observation. Now this method involves the researcher immersing, meaning involving him or herself in the daily lives and routines of those being studied without being known about their active participation in the field to the respondents. Now this often requires extensive work in the field because the researcher actively participates. So participant observation provides insight into the behavior patterns and social organizations that operate and constitute a particular bounded system or a particular case. Second is interview. Now, in this method, the researcher will learn about the persons or a group of persons who are a part of the case by talking to them, meaning by talking to the respondents. So that is why it is a person-to-person interaction between the researcher and the respondent with a specific purpose. Now, the type of interviews conducted by the researcher can vary in degree. Now, it can be structured interview, it can be semi-structured interview or unstructured interview. In a structured interview, the researcher asks a predetermined set of questions using the same wording and using the same order of questions that is already specified in the interview schedule. Whereas in the semi-structured interview, the interviewer does not strictly follow a formalized list of questions, but instead he will ask more open-ended questions, allowing for an informal interview, for an informal discussion with the interviewee rather than a straightforward question and an answer format. Unlike a structured interview and semi-structured interview, in unstructured interview, the researcher has the complete freedom. A very important point to remember here, the researcher has the complete freedom in terms of content and structure. And there is also freedom in terms of wording used and the way the questions are explained and the way the questions are asked to the respondents. Third important method used in case study research is collection of artifacts and texts. So from the collection of artifacts and texts, researchers can also gain knowledge and information regarding the bounded system or bounded case under study. And these can include written protocols, institutional handouts, charts, flow sheets, as well as materials used by the members of the system, or that means the materials used by the respondents of the case that is being undertaken. Next, we will be studying about the steps of case study analysis. A case study analysis must not merely summarize the case, because it should identify key issues and problems, outline and assess alternative courses of action, and draw appropriate conclusions. So these are the various steps which is to be followed in case study analysis. First is identify the most important facts surrounding the case. Which means the case should be read several times to be familiar with the information it contains, and at the same time attention should be given to any information accompanying exhibits, accompanying tables and figures, because some of these facts like in real life present a great deal of detailed information that can be relevant for problem identification later. So the most important facts and figures that help in defining the central problem or central issue should be properly identified, underlined and focused. Second is identify the key issues. Now the facts provided by the case should be used to identify the key issues. As many cases present multiple issues or multiple problems, it is very important to identify the most important one. And here one important point to remember is after identifying the most important problem or central problem, it is very important to separate this from other less significant issues. So the researcher should be able to explain how the identified problem affects the strategy, how the identified problems affects the performance of the population, that is the target population or the unit under study. Third step is specify alternative courses of action. Now, the courses of action that can be taken to solve the problem or meet the challenge should be listed. If, for example, if the case study is about a company, then the information relating to modification of an existing system, that is, or a new information system, new technologies, then organizational structures, then changes to organizational processes and management policies which are required to implement should be found out. And at the same time, the constraints that will limit the solutions available should also be identified. Fourth one is evaluate each course of action. Now, using the already identified facts and issues, each alternative should be evaluated, and at the same time, the costs and benefits of each of these alternatives should be identified. The outcome of the course of action and the associated risks and the associated rewards, then the assumptions based on the decisions made, and whether these recommendations made is feasible or not from different point of view, like technical, operational or financial, should be clearly stated. Fifth one is recommend the best course of action. The choice for the best course of action and explanation for its selection should be stated. Explanation for not selecting other alternatives should also be provided. Then final recommendation should be logical, and as well as it should clearly specify the assumptions used to shape the conclusion. Thank you for watching.